Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
God blimey, love a duck. So don't forget, I got that competition to find a big hit song. However, you'll be ashamed of yourself if you get it right. Okay, that's your challenge for Across the Show. Big thank you to Joanne Bates. She's listening in Istanbul. How good is that? Next to the Blue Mosque. The Blue Mosque is the biggest mosque in Istanbul. It's where everybody goes. It's the tourist trap. We even got a taxi to go and see the Blue Mosque when we were doing shows from over there. We still never found it. We got a taxi to it. And he says, just go up that street, turn to your left. Where's the mosque gone? We tried about 6 times to find that damn thing without success. But Joanne, you're there, so enjoy it. Enjoy it, absolutely, if you can find it. Leon is wishing us a happy Sunday from Ryop in Sunderland. Kimberly Jane, hi from Scotland. Sandra Hemsley, what does she miss about normal? She misses her 6 kids and her 12 grandkids, giving them all a kiss and a cuddle. And especially little Avaya, who apparently used to come round the house. And Boris has told them, don't touch the bairns, you're covered with filth and nastiness, which I doubt really, but hey, we can't take a chance, can you? That's the thing. Andy Ramshaw is in Donegal. Great to see you here. Me, he says. Great to see you too, thank you. Pete Conifey in Kilkenny, still enjoying the show, regular listener of days gone by. Hello to Catherine Mary Stevenson, Sunderland. Jenny Brooker says Yorkshire is missing me. Thank you, Yorkshire. Loud and proud. Lynn Henderson, Saltburn by the Sea. Moira Pirtzad, who is currently watching in Dubai. Warm and toasty and an outrageously late hour. What are you doing still up? She really misses listening to the show. I hope you can stay tonight and find a way to tune in from around the world. You can, you know. Movie star looks, Danny Larson in Sydney, Australia, looking ever so Hollywood with a hat there. And Stephen Keeley from Spennymoor. Thank you very much. To start us off, though, a strong opinion. Tony says Nissan were banging their gong, warning us that they would definitely leave the UK if we didn't cancel Brexit. Now they're more than likely going to build 2 new Renault models in Sunderland. They are currently built in Spain, which last time I checked was part of the EU. Tony, we haven't left. Brexit didn't happen. The vote happened, but Brexit now is going to be put off and put off and put off and put off. And then there'll be a general election and then put off, then put off, then put off. This might have been part of the plan. You never know. I wouldn't put anything past them. Anyway, let's go and talk to somebody like Josie, who is in Blakelaw. Hello, Josie.
Hiya, Alan. Are you all right?
I'm good, thank you very much. What are you talking about tonight, then?
Well, you can see everyone in this lockdown's going a bit crazy, and everyone's like exercising, doing yoga, and getting into new things. So I just thought, you know what, I've seen like a few Scottish poems, and you didn't see anything really Geordie, so I thought I'm going to try and do a Geordie one.
Good girl. So have you given it a name or what?
So it's called Oot and a Boot. You might have to translate that. Out and about.
Oot and a Boot. That's if they can't understand, it's their own fault.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's have it then, please.
So, just picture it. The party's nationwide. The day Big Boris says, lockdown is our gan back outside. There'll be our gardens, they'll be bouncing, and we'll all be en route, and more grannies will be waiting, dotties and peas pudding out. For Mars and Dads, they'll be beaming, arms stretched out, hinny away, and for as long as we live, we'll never forget this day. The bairns, they'll be out of the moon to see their pals again, and we'll never take for granted when it's not the rules to stay yem. A neat doing the tune, a few bottles of brewing, ending in the kitchen of someone's gaff. Still dolled up looking bonny, now like having a good old laugh. The first Greg's pasty, and first mortal big market chant. First proper date night with 4 lass. First day of do what you want. We'll probably all be bubbling, cuddling the lads and lasses we've missed, and then it'll finally hit with what it proper means to exist. 'Cause these times are hard, and it's tired everyone out. But if there's anything that'll get us through, it's how we'll all feel when we're back, out in a boost.
That's brilliant. No, that's really good. And you're right. We've kind of been locked away, and we have forgotten what it means to exist, because we've been essentially imprisoned, haven't we? I mean, there's no other way for it. And you could argue, oh, but we had to. It was life or death. I'm yet to be convinced personally that this was really life or death. And I know people have died, but if you'd have said flu, you could have listed somebody else has died of flu. Well, people do cancer. People have died of cancer. If you wanted to dress this up any which way, you could have made it a terrifying thing. More people are catching cancer now than ever. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, you see what I mean? But it could have been about anything. And I'm not making light, and I don't wish anybody who's got any health issue to think that I'm making light of life or death. I'm not. I just don't think that this is necessarily what we've been told it was. And we've been imprisoned. And rich people, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the wealthiest people have doubled their fortunes. So you think, well, why, if that's happened here, you know, like on the stock market and what have you, do you not think that's happened in France and in America, and the people with now has even more? And if ever there was a good reason for people across the world to have a lockdown, it's that little top percentage of people getting immensely wealthier than they were before. And have they got the influence to pull something like this off? Well, I don't know, but it's happened.
I mean, yeah, you know, you never know. I think there's loads of theories behind it, and loads of conspiracy, and there will be forever.
I think so too, but you've got to go with what the government tells you, even if it's just, Boris has lied so much about so many things, it's just hard to take. And I know he's Prime Minister, and how that happened, I don't know. But that's where he is. It's like saying the world's gone mad. If 5 years ago, if we were talking Boris Johnson will be Prime Minister and Donald Trump will be President, people would have just laughed at you. And now we're in the middle of it, and in one of the biggest financial messes that the world's ever seen. And
this hasn't helped really, has it? But we're getting there. We're doing yoga.
Is that what you've been doing? You've been doing all your bendy lotus positions, have you?
I haven't, to be honest, but I think I've been going on walks with, but I think we've exercised the right of how much gin we can drink and things like that as well. So,
but when you go walking, hand on heart, have you always been 2.5 yards, or when somebody walks past you, do they just take like half a step to the left and half a step?
It's physically impossible. Like, it's just people just walk right up to you as if nothing's happened, and then stare at you as if you're a germ. So you can't help it. It's hard, but
I got insulted last week. I was telling everybody about it, and just purely and simply because I walked past them. And I was probably about 1 yard away, not 2 yards, because I couldn't get out of a supermarket door and they were stopping talking. So I just got to the far end and just slid past. But I got slagged off for that. And people look at you, like you've spat on their baby or something. But anyway, things will sort themselves out, I'm sure.
It's and then, I mean, my partner's a funeral director, and when we're out and about, people come close to her, and I'm like, it's not us that, we're worried for you. You shouldn't be coming next to us,
Yeah, and here's a question, though, and honestly, because I've spoken to people who work in accident and emergency, and I've spoken to 3 separate ones now over the last few months, and I've said, are you completely stowed down with loads of coronavirus people there? And in every case, it says, no, we got plenty of room, we got bags of beds. We were told to expect Ed, but because of the lockdown, we've not been seeing any. And I thought, okay, now your guy's a funeral director. I'm imagining he's 6 foot tall with a very stern face and a top hat and tails. However, is he completely weighed down and overwhelmed by the amount of people coming forward to be buried? Or?
I mean, he was at first, but now he probably, the irony behind it as well, you say it's dead, it's dying down, it's getting quiet, So
So
I
it's
think
o-
just
it's,
like
it's
normal, yeah.
it's
It's a flu, like you
over.
say. It's a flu, yeah.
Josie says it's over because her man's not burying them quick enough. That's the thing, right? That's it. Everybody out. Let's-
Everybody, you.
Hey, but thanks for the poem. That was great, Josie. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Take
Stay
care.
safe.
Good talking to you. Thanks for coming on. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There she goes. Josie! And I'm sure she had pussycats, didn't she? Anyway, who we got next? Peter is flashing, and he's in Jarrow, so I better go there so he can put it away. Hi, Peter.
I'm not flashing all the man. I'm in bed.
Yeah, flashing on my screen. Hello, man.
Just full of dollars, I am.
So, what are you missing then out of normal, whatever normal is?
I've got a feeling this might be a common theme tonight in your show. I'm missing the pub.
Yeah, no, I bet. I absolutely bet.
You know what it is? I think when this lockdown's over, I think the AA is going to be bloody busy. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm actually drinking more being in the house.
No, I think that's true. You've
a lot more.
just got to look at the beer aisles in supermarkets to see that, and everybody's coming out with like instead of buying a couple of pints for the night, you get the whole pack in, don't you?
Alan, I don't need to look at the ale in the supermarket. I just need to look at the gut I'm getting. You know, I mean, the beer belly. You know, I mean, I go to the pub and I have a few pints. You know what I mean? So, I live by myself. I go out maybe 5-6 times a week, but I'm not boozing 5-6 times a week. I'll go out and I'll have some blackcurrant soda and I'll sit and I'll socialise with my friends and that, you know, and I'll have a chat.
Absolutely.
Now I'm when I do drink, when I do have a couple of pints of beer, I don't go out till 9 o'clock. Last orders is at 11 o'clock. I mean, how many pints can you throw down your neck in 2 hours?
No, absolutely. My question is, you know, we just heard earlier today, and let me find where I wrote this thing down about. Oh, here we go. Cafes, pubs, and restaurants are going to be able to sell on street stalls.
I've seen that.
Now, if that's the case, instead of you going to the pub, it'll be outside the pub, and they'll have a stall with presumably a couple of pumps for your favourite ales, and you can go and stand on the street and drink it out of a plastic glass. Now, why can't you just go into the pub and try and keep your distance? Because, you know, we're told that families of up to 6 can hang out together. Now, that could be round a table, couldn't it, in a bar or a restaurant?
I think the problem is, Alan, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I'd love to see a pub open that's got a beer garden. You know, I drink in the Gin and Ale House. It's called something else now. I can't remember. We changed the name, the old name.
Right.
It used to be the Jarrah Crusaders, and they changed to the Gin and Ale House.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, they've got a nice big grass patch next to it.
Right.
You know, and what's wrong with putting some seats out there? You know, having a sensible queuing system where, like what you've got in the supermarket, where you're keeping your social distancing.
Well, you see, I don't see that there's any difference between sitting in a pub and going to a supermarket, because you're not going to get further. Because let's face it, in a supermarket, people are passing each other within like 6 inches to a foot.
You can't. It's very hard to keep the 6 meters. I mean, you tell me 6 meters. Sorry,
2 meters.
2 meters, 6 foot.
6 foot.
I think that the aisles aren't even that.
No.
You know, the aisles and my little Morrisons aren't that. So if you've got somebody walking down one side of the aisle, you've got somebody walking up the other side of the aisle, they've got to pass each other. You can't help it.
And you see each other kind of lean away, and you think, but the government don't even know how this thing is passed. It could be in the air, it could be spit, it could be who knows what, but they haven't told us. They just think that these are good ideas, but they don't know whether they're working, even to this day.
It just passes like flu.
Who knows? Absolutely. Could be through.
The other stupid thing about the supermarkets is, in my local supermarket, they've blocked off all that. Even when you walk down there, there's checkout. They've blocked them all off. So you can only walk down 2 aisles. You walk down one aisle to get the self-service checkout, and then you walk down another aisle to get the ones that got a checkout lady on, you know, working behind the counter. You know, so you got to be on a tell with some human being serving you. So if you walk down the wrong aisle, you've got to walk back, and you end up in a little bit of a bottleneck when everybody's just heading for these 2 aisles. Where I think it would be better if you had every aisle open and a queue going down every aisle for the checkout.
Yeah, but you see, I'm the guy, I hate to admit it, but I'm the guy who everybody looks at and panics. Because, you know, there's like you go down that one, you go up that one, you go down that one, you go up that one, and they've put tape on the floor every 2 metres.
Yeah.
So you've got to wait till the person in front's done their shopping before you can get into their section, supposedly, but nobody does. I don't want anything in this aisle, I'll walk past them. So then they walk past them. Then, after they've done 2 aisles, they go, I do want some fruit after all. I'm going to have to walk backwards. Now, when you walk backwards, the look of horror on people's faces, he's coming back.
Well, I've been quite busy. I'm spending more time out the house during lockdown than what I was before.
How's that?
Well, I've been helping a lot of people who can't leave the house because of medical reasons.
I see.
Diabetes, heart problems, just OCPD, where they can't leave. They're the first ones to be locked down.
Sure.
And they can't risk going out, and they run the risk of catching this virus. So I've been going out quite a lot. So, yeah, I know where you're coming from, because I'm not big. I'm a bloke. I live by myself, you know what I mean? I'll go everywhere. But when somebody passes me a list, I'll go to the first thing on the list, get it. Then I might end up walking back the way I started.
But it's not nearly... the way that people write lists, it's when they think of it. So you're back and forward all over the shop, aren't you? That's the thing.
Oh, tell us about it. I mean, I'm not too scared about it, because I've been volunteering up at the COVID testing centre up in IKEA.
All right,
So I've actually been doing... I'm actually testing people, I'm performing the tests on people.
Have you been tested yourself then?
No.
So you could be a carrier?
Could be.
Do you see how daft it is, though? Everybody's getting tested. And then once they're tested and found not to have it, they could come in tomorrow, having walked past somebody, who knows, and have caught it. So you've been tested one day, but...
I think the tester should be tested every day, because I think it takes about 2 days to get the test results back.
Uh-huh.
And I think in the morning when you go in, the first thing that you should do is have a test, and then every day you know that you're clear.
Well, apparently what they're thinking of doing in April, you know how the travel industry's on its cheeks of its backside.
Isn't it?
So what they're saying is they want to come back strong, but they're not going to come back and fly to any country that has the quarantine, because that totally defeats the object of a fortnight's holiday if you're locked in a camp or something for a fortnight. So what they're saying is that at airports, everybody that lands will go through a scanner that can tell heat, and if somebody's burning up, is hotter than they should be, they get pulled out the queue and tested.
Yeah, you'd be a bit annoyed though if you spent 7 days in quarantine. You didn't actually have it. You just had the regular flu or something. You just had a bit of a temperature.
Are you going through the menopause and you're having one of your?
I don't think I'll suffer from that for some reason.
I tell you, if you're with a woman and she's going through the menopause, the man suffers too. Don't have any doubt about that. Yeah. So you're missing the pub essentially, except you're probably going to end up drinking less when you get back to it then.
Well, this is it. To tell you the truth, I need the pubs to open back up before I turn into an alcoholic.
I can believe it.
That's where I'm coming from, because I am drinking a lot more being in the house.
It's funny because do you remember the time, it must be at least probably 15, 20 years ago, when making your own beer started to be the thing and everybody was home brew, and everybody had a big plastic barrel in their living room with a little spout, and they'd just sit there going, brrr, brrr. and once again they said, no, make home brew, because then you're saving money, you're not drinking as much. Well, you drank about 4 times the amount that you normally do.
I was in Wilkinson's today, and Wilkinson's actually got a section devoted to home brew.
Doesn't surprise
like wines and lagers and beers and ales and that, you know what I mean? So it could be a thing, but then again, it's just defeating the object.
Yeah.
It's like I say, I live by myself. I don't go for the alcohol. I don't go for the pints.
Yeah, but it's the social activity. But then again, you see, if the government says 6 members of the family can gather in groups now, and it's not an issue, the most sensible place to sit and meet is in a pub or a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So why not open them up? And okay, they'll do half what they normally do, because half the tables will be empty, to give people a bit of distance. But they'll have half a pub full, and that's got to be worth having, especially when they're not making anything at the minute.
It's all these companies. I mean, I've got no sympathy for places like Wetherspoons and that. I mean, when a multi-billionaire could take advantage of the The furlough scheme.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like little small businesses, like little cafes and restaurants, little independent places, that's putting food on the table for the kids and that, and kids through school. It's just parents running their own little businesses to put the kids through school and whatever else. I mean, it's them that are suffering from it.
And you really are. I mean, you'll know yourself being a regular pub goer. Most landlords and landladies, they're not driving around in the top of the range car. They're just struggling to get by these days. That's a fact.
Especially with some of these big like punch taverns and stuff. I mean, you see it in the paper all the time, the amount of rent that they get charged that, and
crazy.
They're making like 4 pence profit on a pint for themselves, and that's it. And the rest is going to the brewery.
Yeah, scary.
It's a very it's a hard job, isn't it? I mean, my mate runs pubs, and it's a hard job to make a living.
No,
you don't get rich. You don't get rich from it.
No, I've never believed that. And also, over the last few years, I think it's got worse and worse because obviously they had to deal with suddenly there's no smoking allowed, and then they had to try and bring food in, and then they became a different thing, because everybody was going to pub for it.
I remember, I mean, I'm 44, so I'm not going back a million years ago.
Right.
But, I remember there used to be about 50, 60 pubs in Jarrow.
Right, no, absolutely.
And absolutely. I think that now, if you take out the social clubs, there's 2 social clubs in Jarrow, the Alberta and the Buffs. Right. If you take them 2 out of the Jarrow Town Centre, there's only 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 pubs left, 5 pubs out of about 50. Yeah. I mean, I could sit here right now and just rattle off a load, but I remember from when I was a kid, that had been knocked down and gone. Or they haven't been knocked down, one's been turned into a nursery. And the one that's been turned into an Indian restaurant.
Right, yeah.
One that's been turned into 2 houses. One that's now a car park next to the Jarrow Metro Station. That was the Northeastern. Cracking little pub that was.
Yeah.
We had the commercial, the Tunnel Tavern, or the Gaslight, whichever you want to call it, which is allegedly, I think it was it William Joplin, the last person in Britain to be gibbeted?
Yes.
Yeah, allegedly his body was tucked there and hid.
Right.
Because they put him on a gibbet in the Jarrow Slacks. Like, if your viewers don't know what a gibbet is, it's like a metal cage that they put the body in to decompose on view for everybody to watch. And allegedly his wife could see the body from the house from where they lived.
Right.
So they left him gibbeted in the Jarrow Slacks to rot. And during the middle of the night, some of his family went and got the body.
Right.
And allegedly, according to folklore, they took the body to the Gaslight in Jarrow. It was a Grade 2 listed building, and it got knocked down for the new Tyne Tunnel.
How about that?
So that was on my street,
No, but you're quite right. I mean, the amount of bars that have bitten the dust, and they tend to be replaced by those that are owned by multinational companies, and they'll just put figurehead people in there, which, that are essentially just the employees. They're not going to, never going to get rich off it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I read the other week that boozing's fell out of favour for the younger generation. I mean, I don't know about when you were a kid, Alan, but when I was a kid, you look forward to the weekend, you look forward to going night clubbing. You went out, you worked all week, you worked your 5 days a week, you worked hard and you played hard.
Absolutely.
You went out to the pubs, you had a few pints in the pubs, and then you went night clubbing.
Yeah, that was the deal. That was your night out. Your night out wasn't one without the other. If you came back at 11 o'clock, it was a bad night, wasn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, you always had your money for your taxi fare home, but at the end of the night, you always bought a kebab and ended up walking. You always did that. Many a time I've had to walk from South Hughes Town Centre back to Jarrow.
No,
I bought a kebab instead of using it for my taxi money, was what it was for. But yeah, like I say, it's the younger generation aren't interested in pubs and clubs. It's not their thing now.
Absolutely.
I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're just drinking in the house, having barbecues, or maybe they just don't like alcohol at all.
It's just the social thing, though, because it's a. Where else do people socialise nowadays? It's not like we're big on the whole dinner party circuit. We go out to a pub, we go out to a club, we go out for a meal with everybody from work. Yeah. It's all the social things that's kind of shut down. So it'd be good to have them back. But hey, Peter, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate your time. Thanks, man.
Enjoy your evening.
I will do. Stay well. Bye-bye. There you go. Now, going to play a little bit of a conversation that I had with an amazing woman who looks as good now as she ever did. It's Dolly Parton. And she and I decided to talk about something that Peter and I have just been talking about, which, in essence, is life. How do you keep so up to date with everything, though, Dolly? Because an awful lot of people who started out in the 50s and 60s, they have their time and then they're gone. Dolly Parton goes on forever, and you're as relevant today as you've ever been.
Well, that makes me feel really good. I've never stopped working the whole time. I never was one of those artists that would, stay off for 2 or 3 years and decide to get back. I never said I'm going to retire because I can't, because I was always dreaming. I was always working. And now I've dreamed myself into a corner, and I have to be responsible for dreams I've seen come true. So now I have to keep working, but I do love it.
What about the travelling? Are you taking it easier with the travel, or are you still as crazy for it as ever?
Well, I'm a gypsy, and I love my tour bus, and I don't even stay in hotels. Even when we were traveling in Europe, in England, we had two tour buses that we had all over, the Europe when we were doing that, and same with Australia.
Right.
They had buses made and sent over or had them done there. So I live in my tour buses. I fly when I have to. We had to fly. Of course, you have to fly some to get to certain points, but I prefer the bus, and I love to travel. It
just seems that whatever you do, whatever you put your hand to, seems to work. Some of my all-time favourite musical was The Best Little Whorehouse, which is one of the most underrated musicals on planet Earth. You've done Steel Magnolias, blimey, everything you've done's turned to gold. How does that make you feel?
Well, it feels good. It's like I'm sure everything don't turn to gold, but they're all fun for me. They're all, things that work. But I have been blessed. I have been lucky, that I've had 9 to 5, the movie that was my first movie.
Absolutely.
Well, then The Best Little Whorehouse and Steel Magnolias. Like you said, we just really had good luck. And I hope to do some more movies when I find something that's suitable to me, as those seem to have been.
Your body's immaculate, and every man just looks at it with a chin on their chest because you're so cute. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to it? Accidents, operations and stuff. What have you had?
I've had everything. I tell you, my best saying is, I am a self-made woman, and I've got the Dr. Bill's proof. I always say if I see something dragging, sagging, and bagging, I'm going to have it nip tucked and sucked.
is Night Owls on Greatest Hits Radio.
You never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You are with the big one, Alan Robson with you. Greatest Hits Radio, and a lot of stuff coming in. For example, Sarah Ann Coleman just wants me to say hi to Sarah and Jack. Hi, you two. Tomorrow, Wilson wants to give a big shout to her Uncle Paul. It's his 60th birthday, and he's having an isolation party. And she wants me to sing that Daft Baked Potato song, but no, trust me, you're better off not. Ian Ray, long-time listener, says that is Bodie still in touch? He's in the queue to get on the show tonight. And David Birdsey, 48th birthday for him, sending him a virtual kiss and cuddle because he hasn't had one. And a punch on the arm, like men do. And Jared Jill says, you know, we asked the question, if being loud apparently makes the virus worse, a government gadget said. And she says, if that's true, I'm effed because I'm very loud. If it makes the virus work, she's stuffed, she says. So there you go. Is it true? Is it not? I'm going to give you your first clue for tonight's competition. Now, for you to be a winner, you've got to hear 4 clues, write down what the 4 clues are, and then tell me what song they all come from. It's a massive hit we're looking for. A song that you have sung. You have sung this. First clue, there is a phrase that means to return to work. It says, back to the what? Okay? There is a phrase meaning to return to work. Back to the what? Give you another clue. R. Kelly had a hit. There ain't nothing like a little bumpin'. This word. So, okay, there you go. 2 clues to the same word. Write that word down. 3 more clues to come. And then I'll tell you, when you get to the end of it, you will slap yourself good looking if you get the correct answer. So we wish you well with that. Another bank holiday weekend ahead as well on Greatest Hits. And they're celebrating the UK's happiest songs. 300 songs that you guys have voted for. You can find out what are the happiest songs. And it's going to be a weekend, next weekend, full of those happy tunes to make you smile across the day. And don't forget, tomorrow night and right across the week to Thursday, Alex Lester will be back as well with All Together Now, mixture of phone calls and greatest hits, of course. So let's get back to the man himself who's lurking. He's lurking. We just played Dolly Parton, yet I'll tell you, I'm not sure whether this man's chest is even bigger. Hi, Paul from South Shields.
I'm catching her up, yes. Actually, I seen a programme she was on with Brian Johnson when he was going around with all the celebrities.
Uh-huh.
Aye, so got to see a tour bus. What a flaming vehicle.
When you say, I just get the bus, you think, it's not a bus like this.
No, it's definitely a palace on wheels.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, she's earned it, hasn't she? Because
what a woman,
she's grafted since she was about 11.
Non-stop.
Wow.
She's a lovely person as well,
This is the thing. It's hard to slag her off because even if you don't particularly like country music, she's done. Even if you could just say, I don't like any of her music, then you hear the White Stripes do their version of Jolene, and you go, even just as a writer of a song, that's a corking bit of work.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I like Dolly Parton, I have to say. And have you seen that film, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas?
I haven't, no.
It's one of those things. It's a comedy, essentially, with Burt Reynolds, and she sings I Will Always Love You, her version of the Whitney Houston tune, and it makes sense in the film. When you hear the song sung, it's a bit desperate the way Whitney does. She does a good version, but it's a bit kind of... If your girlfriend sang that to you, you'd say, stop being so clingy. But Dolly means it, and you actually you get a little teary in your eye, bauble. You do if you watch the film. Now, if you ever see it on the telly, it's worth a watch. And I'm not big on modern musicals per se, but that one's worth making because Dom DeLuise is in it. A lot of the comedy Burt Reynolds people are in the film, and makes it stand out a bit. But
I'm getting terrible now for weeping at the programme.
Is this just an age thing? Because I used to look and laugh at these things. And
I think so.
no, again, I watched a movie just 2 days ago called Red, and it's about a gang of thugs who kill this man's pet dog.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, it's a revenge movie, so I like revenge movies. I spit on your grave. Revenge movies, I like them a lot.
Yeah.
But he killed the dog
Swag.
with a shotgun. Oh, dear me.
Well, with this being having time on my hands, I've been watching a lot of Ricky Gervais stuff, like Afterlife.
All right,
Have you watched that? Oh,
it's funny.
That bloke, he's a hell of a writer. You know, he gets the tragedy and he gets the comedy as well.
I like him when he does his hosting of the Golden Globes. He doesn't care what he says to anybody, and I really respect him for that. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So what you been up to then? I mean, because everybody, according to our earlier caller, Josie, she was saying everybody's been doing yoga and exercising and jogging through the park and everything.
I'm watching people do that all the time. Where's it out? I've been going out and doing the shopping. Obviously, we're trying to keep Susan safe and
sure.
taking the dogs out now and then and catching up on a little bit of housework. And
can you explain something to me? You know, this whole dog thing, because Hollywood McShane, the producer of said show, is a doggy person as well. And my experience of people with dogs, they've got the dog, they're 30 yards away from the other person with the dog. The two dogs then go, and they start mixing. So then the two people get within 2 meters of one another just to get their dogs back. And then they're talking to each other for about 25 minutes. And people are passing them within a foot. And it's just not lockdown, really.
Oh, I found them pretty good on the leads. Like they make good distance. I mean, I'll just... Millie, the black and white one we've got, she's very sociable. She's straight in there and saying hello to the other dog.
Yeah.
Where there's Honey, our little sprotter, she's totally shy of other dogs.
All right.
Because what happened, first time I took her out when she was a pup, Kerry had an Alsatian.
Right.
And it just trampled straight over the top of her. Just ran straight through her. Oh, man. So she's very timid with her dogs now, you know.
Right.
So she'll go and hide behind Dad's legs. Dad, look up the water. No.
Are the beaches open in Shields or not? Because some of the beaches further up north are closed.
I think, I've never been.
Right.
The car parks are all shut off.
All right.
We've got them all barriered off, you know.
Right.
So anyway, like daft virus advice, I heard of one the other day where they recommend you can share a car, but you've got to have all the windows down and don't look at each other.
What?
I heard that. I don't know how far it was true, but I heard it.
Because all you need really, if your husband and wife is to have a big row, and then everybody's kind of like, do you know what I mean? You're driving a car, but hold the windows down.
And how would you do it?
Gone. You chip suppers out the window. Come on, that's no good.
How do you look the other way though? You know, when you're driving, how do you look to the left? You've got to say, oh, what's coming the other side?
Keep us going. Left a bit. No, you just wouldn't, would you, really?
No.
I'll tell you something that I saw that was really funny. And there is the name of a shop on the high street that's named after an island that is icy.
Right. I'm with you.
No, nobody will guess, don't you worry.
No.
Well, I'll tell you that I was parked up actually in Morpeth. When was it? Be last Tuesday, a week Tuesday, I think it was. And this wagon was trying to make a delivery, and it had gone past the turning point. So he tried to turn around like a 3-point turn in the street, and he was wider than the street. And the signpost for that street was on the path.
Yeah.
But he didn't see it.
No.
till he'd gone to... First of all, the big sign that was pointing to all the libraries here, the rivers there, those kind of signs, touristy signs. That one he just bent a bit, and then it hooked on it slid along the side of the vehicle until it hit a bit of the metal edge that it couldn't get past. And when he realised he'd bent it, he kind of pulled back and then turned around and went completely over one of those signs that have two concrete posts and a metal thing in the middle.
Aye.
And he'd gone completely over it. And then he managed to make his way to one of these shops whose names I can't remember. And then he turned around and you saw him, because I was parked in the car park, actually eating a bag of chips that I had purchased from the chippy there. And he came past, and there was about 5 of us in cars, all self-isolating, but all eating chips. And he went past us, trying hard not to look.
You don't look when you're doing it.
You don't look at the sign, and you don't look to see if any people's watching. And then he turned around and made the perfect turn, right? And I've revisited the place to park up because I had to go to the bank. And the same place last Tuesday, and the sign's gone. The hole in the ground where the concrete posts have now got a fresh layer of bitumen kind of wedged in them. There's no sign there at all now, so nobody will ever know what that road is called. Well, it's gone for good.
I've had a couple of mishaps while driving my big truck.
Oh, tell me more.
We had a contract down in York on this apartment building doing the window cleaning.
Right.
And I had to get up onto the tarmac path bit in front, and I was reversing back. And I think I've been there 3 times previous, no problem. I was reversing back, and I just felt boing. There was a lamppost appeared. It let down behind us. Because these trucks the bigger ones have got a camera on the back so you can see what's going on. But this lamppost managed to sidestep that. It was right over on the corner. Luckily enough, I didn't damage the truck and I didn't damage the light.
Right.
But another time, I hadn't long been working for the firm, and I got sent down Barnard Castleway to this big house, posh house.
Yeah.
And the gaffer says, it's immaculate, this place. The gardens are beautiful. Whatever you do, don't scratch the gates as you're going through. He says, a bit of a tight turn coming off a country road. You might have to take a couple of shunts to get through, you know.
Right.
He says, aye, right, okay. So I tried going in forwards, couple of shunts. No, couldn't have it. I had about 3 or 4 of these guys came. They're supposed to be watching us. And I'm watching the camera at the back. And all of a sudden, I've seen this daylight appear. And I looked at this old fella that was standing down next to us, supposed to be watching us, and he's just standing looking up at me, you know. I says, have I hit out? He says, hit it, son. It's gone down like a deck of cards. I've just demolished a dry stone wall. Oh, crap.
Oh, that's not good.
So I pulled out. I said, oh, stuff this. So I pulled back onto the road, and I reversed it in through the gates.
Wow.
Smashing. But once I got through the gates, there was this little peg that had a reflector on for the electric gate sensor. I wiped that out. And this bro that was in charge of the job doing it, he was giving it the purple-headed farmer and chucking his hat all over. So I get on the phone to me gaffer. I says, you better get your bum doing here as quick as you can. He says, what's the matter? I tell them. He went, I can deal with this. I says, you can deal with it. I says, if you're not doing here in an hour, the king is down in the field and I'm working here.
Shocking.
He'd calmed down by the time he gaffer got there anyway.
Well, I nearly got sacked once for not anything that I did. When I used to work for this an organisation called the Employment Information Centre, it was before job centres when there was an employment office and you used to actually talk to people and help them get jobs, not like the dance that you have nowadays. And this guy, if you sit behind a desk and you talk to a lot of people, you get to like some of them. Especially if I'd got this guy 3 or 4 jobs. He was a heavy goods class 1 driver, but if he couldn't get a job as a 1, he'd take a 2 or he'd take a 3 just to make sure he was making some money. Absolute respect. Fair enough. Yep. So he came in and he says, there's nothing for heavy goods at the minute. And I had a look and there was nothing there. I rang a couple of local companies. They're all fully manned or womaned. And he says, there's a job on the board, though, for a steamroller driver. He says, I've got a class 1, so I'll be able to drive that. So I said, okay. So I rang up this company, and it was a big plant hire company on Scotswood Road, Newcastle. I says, off you go. They'll see you this afternoon. So off he went for the interview. And this was like a Wednesday. And then on Friday, because he rang in and he said, I've got the job. I start tomorrow, Thursday. So I thought, oh, brilliant. Well, he came back in on Friday. And I thought, oh, he's coming to thank me or, or whatever. And he sat down and says, you got any jobs? And I went, I just got your job yesterday, or day before yesterday. And he said, I said that with me class 1, I could drive a steamroller. I said, yes. He says, I got in it. I couldn't find out how to make it go. Then I found out how to make it go. Then I realised I didn't know how to make it stop. And he completely demolished the 2 office buildings of this plant hire company. He just literally went completely through the whole thing. And this, you build up a bit of rapport with these businesses well, we trust Alan, he'll get us the right person. And you think, I'm going to have to ring him tomorrow and say, are you looking for a joiner to rebuild your factory or whatever it was? Oh, dear. Shocking. Didn't trust him quite so much after that, funnily enough.
Strange, isn't it?
So what you got for us, Paul? You've usually got a strange selection. And right. I'm guessing you have tonight.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Good man.
There is a fruit that tastes like chocolate pudding. It's called black sapote. It has another irresistible name, the chocolate pudding fruit, according to Good Morning America. The fruit,
right,
native to Central and Southern America, tastes like sweet custard with a hint of chocolate.
There you go.
When it's fully ripe.
Ah.
There you go. Competitive art used to be in the Olympics, believe it or not. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Between 1912 and 1948, the Olympic Games awarded medals in sculpture, music, painting, and architecture, according to the Smithsonian magazine.
Wow.
After a heated debate in the post-war years, the competitions were scrapped. John Copley of Britain won one of the final medals at the age of 73. He'll be the oldest medalist in the Olympic history if his silver awarded for his 1948 engraven polo players were still count.
But music, so it's like Fastest Fiddler or something.
the main bubble.
If you'll pardon the expression. I was going to say there's quite a few of us would stand a chance with that, wouldn't there? There you go.
Could you imagine the narration? He comes fiddling out of the corner.
He's been fiddling now for 40 minutes.
I'm an Olympic fiddler. The chef's hat has exactly 100 feet.
100 what? Didn't catch that last bit.
Pleats.
Oh, right, okay.
You know the creases in it.
Yeah.
So apparently it's called a torque, and it's traditionally made with the 100 pleats, which is meant to represent the 100 ways to cook an egg. 100 ways to cook an egg. Can you believe that?
I could probably name you 5.
How would you like your eggs fried or boiled?
Right.
And did you know the majority, I'm not saying specifically yours, but the majority of the brain is fat? You can literally call someone fathead.
It'd be right, yeah.
60% apparently of your brain matter is made of fat.
No, I'll take it.
Right? Be careful about drinking any dandelion wine. The French word for dandelion is called, I'm trying to pronounce this well now. I was practicing it, but it's gone to heck no, like. P-I-S-S-E-N-L-L-L-I-T. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
There's a.
Well, we used to call them pitley beds.
Always pitley beds.
It means wet the bed.
Yeah.
It comes from the fact that they have diuretic properties.
Apparently.
I mean, if you got the sap on you, you were supposed to be going, pitley bed, you got to wee the bed.
Yeah, it's supposed to. But if you were to lick your fingers after touching them, apparently that was enough to get you going. But if you're looking for a great name, and I'm not making this up, I was talking to. It's something loosely to do with radio. I had to talk to this guy from the Netherlands. and his name was Mark. But in the Netherlands, you don't call people Mark. Their name's Mork. M-A-U-K, right? Mork.
Right.
Now, his surname was K-O-C-H. So I had to ring up, and it's an office full of people, and say, I'd like Mork. I'd like... It was just... I thought the guy at the other end was going to say, doesn't everybody? But anyway, he didn't, and I got a chance to talk to the guy.
Magic.
Unbelievable. Can I make him up? Can't make him up.
Right. The blob of toothpaste that sits on your toothbrush has a name. It's called a nurdle.
Ugh.
Oh, you don't hear a nurdle. You think it would be down there, wouldn't it?
Because everybody says that if your toothbrush is exposed, it gets covered with poo in the air from your
in the bathroom,
from your bottom burping
in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting into some one-liners.
Go on in.
I can't believe I got fired from the calendar factory. All I did was take a day off.
Oh dear.
Don't spell parts backwards. It's a trap. Today, a man knocked on my door and asked for a small donation towards the local swimming pool. So I give him a glass of water.
Hey!
Most people are shocked when they find out how bad I am as an electrician. My dad was a good electrician. I find it ironic that the colours red, white and blue stand for freedom until they're flashing in the mirror behind.
Brilliant.
Moses had the first tablet that couldn't connect to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
I accidentally handed Susan a glue stick instead of a chopstick. She still hasn't thought those tools would not be having me.
Tremendous.
I've got a new pair of gloves today, but they're both left. Which on one hand is great, but on the other hand, it's just not right.
Brilliant.
And Susan found out I'd replaced our bed with a trampoline. She hit the roof.
Excellent.
What age is it appropriate to tell me dogs that are adopted? I just found out I'm colourblind. The diagnosis came completely out of the purple. I bought some shoes from a dog dealer. I don't know where he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day.
Brilliant.
And the man who created autocorrect has passed away. Restaurant in peace.
Excellent. Paul, thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Take care. Bye-bye. There is Paul. Really good stuff. Can you come up with that kind of thing? We would love to hear from you. If you can, have a think. And having thunk, let's share something rather grand with you. This, it's the girls who sang in the backing with Earth, Wind and Fire on a classic hit, Boogie Wonderland. And this is their biggest hit. They're called The Emotions.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Hello, everybody. Let's get talking to people. Big thank you to Andy Carter, who is a night owl watching in Florida. Thanks for being with us. Julia McKean, 80, a Shields lass, which is down south where the Southern Jessies live. And she's asked for subtitles. You know, presumably if other Southern Jessies are listening, they'll not understand what we're talking about. And it says, the subtitles don't understand me. Southern subtitles, you say. Also, Philip says there's been no mention on YouTube of a Wednesday Night Owls Live, where we're going to be doing one just off our own bat, a televisual version, and I know this is kind of like it, but you're going to be able to watch it on YouTube, on your televisions if you wish, or you can watch it on your devices on Facebook. Babs Baker, good evening. So happy to see you. God bless you. Thank you. Damien Johnson wants to say hi to Chloe, David and Gillian. They love the show. And Sue in Washington has sent me a photograph of a rump steak that from side view looks like Donald Trump. So it's Donald's rump, I suppose. So thank you very much for everybody getting in touch. Let's talk to people. Our next caller in is Jack, and he's in Billingham. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, mate. What are you talking about tonight?
Football and the coronavirus.
Oh, go in. And what's first then?
Football.
Okay, what about it?
Like, I don't know why they're bringing them back.
Because the season's not finished, though, is it? That's the thing.
No, but they're going to apparently bringing them back at the end of the month. So, but if they bring them back, it's going to make higher risks of the corona spreading.
If what we've been told is true, then it's a bigger risk. What they're saying is some of the early games might be played behind closed doors, and you might have to pay money to see them, you know, to try and raise some money for the football clubs. I don't know what they're going to do. Do you not want it back? Because I'm desperate for a game or two.
I want it back, but I don't want players to be at risk of like getting
very sensible
the coronavirus.
No, I understand. Some people are saying, you know, it depends, because the government doesn't really know how it's spread. We don't know whether that makes people more at risk or not really. You could say, well, if everybody wears a mask, if everybody keeps their gloves on, if nobody has a drink while they're there. Do you know, there's so many possible things. Or alternatively, instead of having 52 or 62 or 72,000 people all together, only allow them in till they're like 2 meters apart. Unless you're a family group, and then you can stay. It's just, I don't know how you'd police it, is the thing.
Yeah.
But I would love it back so that you can see whether Liverpool are going to go off with a title or not, because
I mean,
it would be a shame if they got it for half a season, though. Do you know what I mean?
I know. Like, there's no chances of Liverpool probably losing this season. But it's like, what happens if you need to, like, do a corner? You need to be...
Yeah, you got to be close to the fans
You got to be close.
Yeah.
And even if they did bring it back, if they wanted to bring their fans into the stadium, there won't be enough seats for everyone.
Well, what they could... I know we're stretching it a bit, but arguably, maybe at... You know, let's say that... Because whereabouts are you? You're in Billingham. So let's say Middlesbrough had a game, and they were away at West Bromwich Albion. You could maybe put chairs in the stadium all over the stands, where they'll already have seats there, and have seats on the pitch, you know, like 2 meters apart, the whole thing.
Like the sidelines, yeah.
You might be able to get, you know, I don't know, 10, 15,000 in there, and then they could watch the game. So instead of watching home games, everybody watches the away game from an empty stadium where you're not close together. There just has to be a way of doing it. The thing that's put the pressure on British football is that the German league's just gone back.
Yeah, Bundesliga. I heard that. But,
so if they're back and there's football matches on the telly, but it's all Bayern Munich and, you know, the Mönchengladbach, then the rest of Britain are all going to be putting pressure on the government to say, well, come on, the Germans are back, the French are back, the Spanish are back, you know, and it builds up pressure on them to do something about it, it's the thing.
Yeah, but then just before it happened, they bought loads of players, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And then, say, with the likes of Felipe Coutinho moving to Bayern, they've wasted like 250 million on a player that they can't even use.
This is it. And you see, what they've also saying, or at least that we're hearing, that some of the football clubs, and I think it's Brighton apparently have got 3 or 4 players that have had the disease, but because they're so fit, they'll not, they'll go through the motions of being poorly for a while, but the likelihood is they're going to be fit enough to play in a week or two because they're super fit footballers, so there shouldn't be an issue. But they're going to give the players a choice whether or not they want to play. And so you might end up having a lineup with 3 of your top players missing because they don't want to take the chance. And, hey, it's up to them. It's their lives that they're playing with, I suppose. So you'd have to be careful. How do you feel about going back to school, Jack? Because they're talking about that now as well.
I mean, I'm not excited for it, but I'm in year 7, so we're not going back.
Well, you're not going back. But what have they said to you then about when you're
like reception year 1, year 6, and then I think it's year 11 and 12.
All right, so you're going to be last to go back by the sound of things.
Yeah.
What?
I've been treated like I've been doing some homework and then been playing my games. But what they're doing with this corona as well, for like, say you have an Xbox, a PS4 or a Nintendo Switch, they're releasing free games for you to play on.
So, blimey, there's not enough time to go back to school then, is there?
No.
No, with all them free games.
You're getting games that should be like £50 for free. Like,
by the time you get out of the house, you're going to be about 60-year-old. You know that?
I know.
Are you enjoying yourself, though, being off, even though you've got to stay kind of locked up, or what?
Yeah. I'm learning, like, animal names with the scientific names.
All right.
Give me
an example of one, then.
So this is a long one. It's a soldier fly name. Parastrateus Sphaecomia sphaecomidis.
And what's that, put the posh name for?
Soldier fly.
A soldier fly.
And then I'm learning what they can do, and there's animals that can squirt blood from their eyes, and
wow. It's a good thing, this lockdown. It's made us look in areas we normally wouldn't look. Do you know what I mean? For example, I'll tell you one back, because I've been studying ancient Rome in Britain. You know, when the Romans were here years and years ago. Before even your parents were at school. And there was one guy, a Roman emperor, and his name was Heliogabalus, which is a stupid name to start with, and he used to love his food so much that every type of meat available had to be provided for every meal, so he could eat lots and loads of it. And when he got full, he got a bucket and he threw up so he could start eating immediately again to fill his tummy, and then throw up, and then eat some more, then throw up, then eat some more. And apparently he was the person all those years ago who created the all-you-can-eat buffet.
What?
Strange but true. There you go. Fascinating. When you start to read books and stuff, it gets interesting, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about a bit more sport, some weird results.
Like what?
Like there was once a football game, Australia and American Samoa. I think it was the year was 2001.
Right.
And Australia won 31-0.
Wow.
And there's cricket scores from 1997. And it was Sri Lanka 952 for 6 against India.
Right.
And then there was one that was in football, Platoon United Feeders. They won 79-0 against Akuraba.
Can you imagine how that goalkeeper must have felt?
I know you'd probably be top of the league on goal difference.
You would have thought. Amazing. Hey, well, Jack, thank you very much for that. Great to hear from you, man. Keep enjoying those games as long as you can, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Stay well. Take it easy.
See ya.
Bye. There's Jack, and not exactly looking forward to school. Well, who would be? Anyway, next we're off up the mountains. Try sorting that one out on subtitles. Where we've got Beth, and she's up the mountains in concert. Hi, Beth.
Hi, evening, Alan.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, yeah.
Good.
I'm all right.
So what are you on about tonight then, Beth?
So I just wanted to give you a call and let you know about a little challenge that I've been doing with my daughter.
Tell me more.
Yeah, my daughter's called Luna. She's got Down syndrome.
Right.
We're part of a group called Together 21, which is a project run under the Pioneer Care Partnership, actually over at New Naycliff.
Right.
So it's not on my doorstep, but every week when we've been allowed, we make the effort to go over to Newton Aycliffe.
Right.
And
that's a bit of a jaunt from concert, mate.
It is, yeah. But I found out about the group when I first had Luna. I knew nothing about children with Down syndrome. Needed to educate myself a little bit, help her on in life as much as I can.
Sure.
And I found these amazing people down there, so been going there every week.
That's great. I mean, has it still managed to go on through the lockdown or what?
No, it hasn't. We've been doing some video chats and things like that, so the kids can still get the same kind of songs that we sing and new Makaton sign language that we learn and everything like that. And it's great to catch up with the other moms as well. Right.
No, and also it helps take a little bit of the weight because it's an amazing thing. The last time I was close to a batch of people suffering with Downs.
They don't suffer, I'll tell you that.
No, well, this is it. I was educated. It was at a hospital in Morpeth at the time, and they put a show on, and they invited me to be like special guest. And you had these kids of all ages, and some of them young adults, and they were doing ballet dancing. They were doing dancers from Saturday Night Fever. They were having an absolute ball.
I can imagine they can do anything they put their mind to.
That is absolutely true. And at the end of it all, I was just completely mind-boggled because there is a preconception,
of course,
that they're not going to be able to knock you out with their talent. And yet I was completely blown away by the whole thing. And they did this ballet dance, and the guy who was doing the dance was in love with the girl who he was doing the ballet dance with.
Okay.
And they absolutely meant it. You know, all the you could see, and everybody teared up at it. It was fantastic. It was one of the best. You know, because I've been lucky enough to be invited to a lot of different performances, but that was like it was about 2.5 hours with a 15-minute break in the middle, and it was pure gold. The whole thing was absolutely gold.
Sounds really good.
No, it was great.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to do something a little bit funny, trying to put some smiles on people's faces.
Right.
So we thought about a way to raise a little bit extra money to make sure our group still continues on after all this lockdown. Because you can imagine a lot of charities have lost quite a bit of funding.
Some of them have folded because of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're really, really hoping that doesn't happen to us because it's such an important thing that we go to.
Yeah.
So someone came up with the idea of the Together 21 challenge.
Right.
So basically, us parents and children and volunteers and staff can do anything we want based around the number 21.
Right. So what did you go for then?
I decided to do some lockdown photos of Luna.
Right.
But I wanted them to be quite relatable to us adults. I didn't want them to be too, well, they are child-friendly. Children can look at them, but I didn't want them to be too, pretty. I wanted them to be funny.
Right.
So that's what we started with. So the first one I'd done with Luna was her putting her makeup on.
Right.
So she's 3.5. Right. So you can imagine how that went.
Right.
But I started them on the 1st of May, so we're, the 17th today?
Right.
And I think the funniest one I've done, which I hadn't planned, because I did make a list of what I wanted to do before I started doing it.
Right.
I'd done one, I think it was on the 10th, and that was Luna having a party with Mommy and Daddy. And there was she was with a little shot glass and a little miniature drink. Obviously, she didn't drink any of them, but she was playing the part very well.
Right.
So I decided on the 11th she had to do a hangover one.
Oh, right.
And that was great. I think I've had a lot of people saying that's one of their favourites. Because she just plays the part so well.
Even at that age, she must have seen some people getting over their hangovers then.
Well, yes, maybe Daddy more recently, as I'm expecting Luna's sister, so that's definitely more Daddy's thing at the moment.
Excellent.
But it's just been so much fun to do, and I've been posting them online and on Facebook and things, and the reaction we're getting off people is just great, and people can't wait to see what we're doing next.
It's good. I think it's just brought out that side of people that we can't do all of this, but what can we do? And let's have some fun with it. It's great.
Yeah, and I think it's silly things like, I know a lot of people are working from home at the minute, which is obviously, it's really hard, especially when you've got little children running around. So I've done a working from home one,
right.
And she's sitting at the laptop and she's got her cup of tea and her biscuits with some little glasses on and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's so relatable to people, but because she's so little and she pulls the funniest of faces, people look at it and they laugh because it's funny.
Yeah, now you know, it's a great idea. Can people just come and see this? Is it available anywhere for outsiders to see?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page called Together 21.
Right.
All Luna's lockdown photos get posted on there every day, along with everyone else's challenges that they're doing. One of the little girls, she's learning a new Magaton sign every day.
Right.
And she's not even 2. So that's amazing to see, things like that.
So
a lot of people doing running challenges and all sorts of things.
But it's Challenge 21 to look for, that's the thing.
Together 21.
Together 21, I beg your pardon. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you for that. Great to hear from you, Beth. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, lovely talking to you.
My honour. Thanks for coming on. There you go. And Luna doing well. A little actress at that age. Tremendous. Let's go and talk to Ross, who is in Blythe, or should be. Hiya, Ross.
Hiya, Alan.
Hello, mate.
Right?
Yes, good,
Hiya.
man. Thank you.
I just when you're on about the memories and stuff from the olden days, I just think back to Geordie Jeans, Metroland.
Yeah.
And you coming out with a Newcastle team on the pitch at St James's Park.
Yeah, the teams are in the tunnel.
Great times.
Happy days. Mind you, you had some players. You might end up with another rack of international players coming out soon with if this takeover is what everybody's talking about. What do you make of it all?
Well, since these rumours came about, we've had a bottle of Prosecco chilling in the fridge. And it seems like it's been there for 3 weeks now, ready to celebrate. But, I mean, all we're getting is rumours, but...
Well, they say they're waiting for the Premiership, and all they've got to do is give them a nod. And they gave a nod to the people buying Leicester, and they gave the nod to those that bought Man City, and also the Russian fellow that bought Chelsea. So there should be no reason why they wouldn't, but they've got to go through the dance. But they don't realise how long Newcastle fans have waited for that moment.
I know, and hopefully with the crowd they've got, obviously you know what they're like, and the back, and it'll be back to the good days, but we'll see.
Time will tell, but bottom line is they're talking Pochettino and Edison Cavani and the names of that sort. Will any of the actual Newcastle team still be in place, do you think, or will they buy in?
I would keep Lascelles, definitely.
Right.
And St. Maxim, the winger, Almiron, and probably the keeper, Dubravka. But I hope they do it right. I hope they don't just buy loads of mercenaries, shall we say. But I noticed Jamie Redknapp's comment. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I didn't. What has he said?
Saying, it'll be a hard sell to get top players to the northeast instead of London. So you can imagine the reaction to that.
Yeah, stuff.
So someone put a lovely video on Facebook of Newcastle saying, "Oh yeah, how wouldn't want you to come here anyway if you don't appreciate the scenery." So it was just.
It's not about that. If you think about it, and you know, you're talking about my time at St James's. Just hire a name or two. Les Ferdinand didn't think it was bad. Tino Espria, David Ginola, hell's teeth. You know, obviously, Alan Shearer's from our part of the world, but we were not short of world-class players.
Oh, it was great.
If they can do it then, they can do it now. That's not good. You got to remember, if somebody says to a world-class player, there's a sleeping giant in the northeast with some of the loyalist fans, you'll have the time of your life and we'll give you £3.5 million. The temptation is to say, oh, go on then. Twist me arm, you twist me arm.
Well, there's talk of getting the likes of Shearer and Ferdinand and what have you back amongst the board, and Keegan is an ambassador, all that, which might help. But great times. But you know, the guy rang before. He's on about a confusion of names with a foreign guy.
Yeah,
I think. I just brought back a memory. We were on holiday in the wonderful resort of Magaluf.
Right.
Well, younger, but we made a friend with a Dutch lad. We were only about 13 at the time.
Right.
It was a family holiday. Anyway, so we kept asking his name, and he kept replying, Ola. So we thought he was called Ola. We're with him 2 weeks. So imagine, we're at the balcony in the morning, me and my mate, because my mum and dad took a friend each. And we're shouting, Ola, and he's going, Ola, Ola. And then at the end of the week, we found out he was called Frank. So
you were just saying hello to him for the whole,
exactly.
For the whole week.
I never forget that, because we weren't really up on the language, and neither was he. But, and I tell you what, he was a character. He dived in the Mediterranean Sea. We thought, what's he doing? He disappeared. He come back with a fish in his hand that he just caught. Yeah, I always remember that. But he's a good lad. But you know, when you just make friends on holiday randomly, and then it's like, good times. But and on about what you missed during the lockdown, a major thing for me and my friends is live music.
Yeah.
Or the gigs in the pubs and stuff, because festivals cancelled a lot. It's all gone, but that's the way it is.
And also, it's going to take a long while. And I know a lot of tours were cancelled on the back of it because they couldn't say, oh, well, if we can't do it in January, we'll be there in February, because January, February, March, it's all being shut down. So then they're going to try and get into venues, but everybody's going to be fighting for them, you know. And I don't even know whether any festival will make it by the end of the year. I hope so. I hope, because they're saying we want everything back to normal by July. I think it's a bit optimistic, but does that mean full football grounds in July? Or I don't know.
We're thinking there'll be no festivals till next summer. I mean,
quite likely.
I mean, you've got tents, portaloos, that type of thing. It's not exactly, you know, you're going to be accessing soap all the time, and it's going to be an issue. But and as well, pubs. How do you keep 2 meters apart if you're going to the toilet in a pub? Yeah. So are they going to have bouncers at the door saying, right, one out, one in to the bogs, and
queues bail along for the whole, you know,
But we're cracking on with the virtual life again, quizzes and stuff on Zoom. But
it's like we have become the Sims, if you know the Sims.
Oh, right.
We have become the Sims. Now we are watching ourselves building houses and looking after things down a television screen. It's bizarre.
I don't know if you've been able to walk about much outside, but I still do, because I'm still at work, a care home. But on my 15-minute walk to work, it's like playing a computer game in real life. Avoid other people at all costs. Mm-hmm. So you're looking ahead, you're thinking, right, there's a cyclist coming, right, and he's moving over, and you're moving over. Then the dog appears with someone else, and a kid runs out. You're like, oh, move out, stop. It's a weird. Everyone's obviously paranoid, treating everyone else as if they've got the virus.
It's the reverse of Pokemon.
So it's a strange time in the shops. They've got big screens, perspex screens, where our local shop. Protecting the worker, you're stood there as markers, and you're like, oh, but it's a weird one. And then when you go back to the pubs, everyone's going to go, oh, I haven't seen you in months, and they're going to hug you and shake your hand, then they go, will they stop and go, oh, actually, or not. So it's not going to be
virtual handshake. You see, I must admit, I'm one of these. I'm a cuddly sort. You know, if you see a woman, you give them a cuddle. You see a bloke, you give them a firm handshake. I'm a kind of touchy-feely. And it's been weird because somebody will come in and do... I had somebody needing to fix an electrical thing, and they fixed it. You wanted to shake their hand. And you put your hand out and you go, oh, no, we'll give you a virtual... It's not the same, though. You miss human touches, kind Kind of one of the big things.
I'm not sure on your take on this latest change in the restrictions, whether this, that, and the other are a bit confusing to people. So certainly where we live, it seems a lot more people out and about, a lot more cars.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm not sure whether that was the right idea, but anyway.
Yeah, there's one of the shops that I've seen, and instead of building screens, they've decided to do it the cheap way by putting each of their workers in what looks like a riot shield, like a bit of plastic and it goes down the front.
Yeah.
Don't know whether you've come across them, but the only thing that does is make the person in it sweat like they've got coronavirus. You see them and the purple faces, been in this thing for 5 hours. God, it must be horrific in there. It's like being in a greenhouse.
Have you seen what they've been doing in Spain at the barbers and the hairdressers?
I haven't. What are they doing in Spain?
I saw a video. They've got like a mop handle with a hairdryer taped to one of them, another mop handle with a brush taped to the other. They're standing back trying to do a woman's hair with masks on, and they can't do a normal job of it, but I mean, at what point are we going to get a haircut? My flatmate looked like someone's out of Woodstock already. And we've got another, 2 months before the hairdressers, so...
I just you watch. This is changing day by day, and I think it's started the ball rolling, and I think it'll pick up momentum, and I think it might be sooner than you know. Hey, but great talking to you, Ross. Thank you for coming on, man.
Cheers, Alan.
All the best. Bye-bye. Jody Jeans, he started with Hell's Teeth. Do you remember that? Yeah, it was a phenomenon. Everybody had to wear. I'm not Wranglers. No, Jody Jeans for us. Everybody was in them. Anyway, piece of music now, and just before we play an absolute classic on Greatest Hits Radio Northeast, I'm going to play some Earth, Wind and Fire. But we were talking to the band about all things paranormal.
But I understand, Alan, that you're into the kind of the paranormal thing.
We do a batch of that, yeah.
I got to tell you, let me tell you something very interesting. Okay. I was about 3 or 4 years ago. I was in New Orleans.
Right.
Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Absolutely, we've done TV there, yeah.
Okay, so I took the haunted tour in the French Quarter.
Right. Oh, blame me, yeah.
And man, all you got to do is bring a digital camera, and you will get orbs on film. I am not kidding.
Yeah.
I have several shots of several places I took, and orbs would show up on the film.
Wow, cool. But let's ask you some stranger things then. What are you frightened of? You got any rational or irrational fears?
What am I frightened of? There's nothing that comes to mind right off the top of my head.
Earth, Wind and Fire are fearless. That's what we've known.
voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Hello, everybody. Alan Robson with you, still on screen. Don't know how long we'll be able to keep this going, but we'll do it as long as we can. Big hello to Tommy Weldon, who wants to say hi to Geordie. He's missing having a pint with him at St. Peter's Social. And a few people mentioning, where can we get ghosty stuff? We do a weekly podcast now, so if you go to wherever you get your podcasts, type in Alan Robson's Grizzly Tales. You get a whole hour's with every week, free, gratis, and for nothing. Spread the word, check it out. If you miss one, you can go to robsonsworld.com. They're free and they're waiting there for you too. And there's a whole batch of other stuff there you might be interested in. And Lee Michelle McDougall just says, how you doing? Canny. Thank you very much. Right, time for your second clue. Now remember, each clue will give you a word. You'll end up with 4 words, and you've got to work out the name of the song that it's linking to. The first clue, there's a phrase that means to return to work. It says, well, back to the what? It was also a hit for R. Kelly. He had a hit with Bump and this word. That's your first clue. Second clue, espresso, latte, and cappuccino are 3 types of what? Okay? Espresso, latte, and cappuccino are 3 types of what? Okay, you got 2 clues. You've got 2 more clues to come. Don't ring in. Don't even try to guess it until you get the 4th clue. Okay? Because you need all 4. Anyway, let us crack on. For we have next Chris, who's in Wheatley Hill. Hello, Chris.
Are you all right?
I'm good. Good, mate. Thank you.
Alan, when's this mass hysteria in the media going to end with this coronavirus?
Tell me your view on this mass hysteria.
Right.
They're dropping like flies. They're dying everywhere, and that's what we're told.
Any death is horrible, regardless if you're hit by a car, cancer, coronavirus, whatever.
Gotcha.
But I've been reading the stats on the Public Health England website. Okay, I live in County Durham,
right,
which has an approximate population of about 550,000. Okay,
right.
And this month there's been 49 deaths for coronavirus.
Right.
And since May the 10th, there's been 11 deaths. Okay.
Right.
And today, on the increase of cases was 8. And that's in a population, like I've just said, over 500,000.
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, every day there's about on average 450 people die of cancer in the United Kingdom. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And at the moment, our NHS, I use the key word, our NHS is basically essentially locked down everything but coronavirus.
Yes.
I've got family members who have had operations cancelled.
Yeah.
I've got a family member, one of the same family members who's had an operation cancelled, has had injections cancelled that aren't even in a hospital. And I'm just finding it all a little bit, I read Piers Morgan arguing with a scientist yesterday. Piers Morgan used the death rate soaring. It's not at all soaring. It's 170 today in the United Kingdom.
Well, the thing is,
so,
a month
and a put into perspective.
A month and a half ago, I got the stats out for the North. I didn't do Scotland, I must admit, and I know we've got a lot of listeners up there, but I did essentially Northumberland down to the North Riding of Yorkshire. The average amount of people who died last year and the amount of people who died this year. And less people had died week by week, month by month. Last year, more people died than this year, but we didn't have a lockdown. So, so what's it all about?
I checked the Office National Statistics a couple of weeks ago, and influenza and pneumonia was at about 38,000 deaths for this year. And do you ever see that in the front news of the papers or on Sky News?
Not even mentioned, because it's not the not the trendy one, is it?
And I mean, don't get us wrong. This coronavirus is nasty. I mean, I spoke to a good friend who I went to school with. Their mother's been really bad with it.
Right.
She survived, and obviously there are going to be people out there who have been affected by this virus, but on the same hand, there's got to be people who've been affected by cancer, etc., pneumonia, influenza, and people who will have people at home. At this very moment, there'll be hundreds of thousands of people far and outweighing the virus who will be suffering in silence at home.
But you see,
they can't get the treatments that they want and need.
Now, that's true, because hospitals have said, don't come to us. It's like that taxi driver, he rang 111 and then woke up a fortnight later realising he'd survived it. You know, he'd had it. He didn't even wake up. But with respect to it, yes, it's a nasty virus, but it's killing people who have severe health issues to start with.
I agree with that.
Unique conditions. They're 95-year-old. They've got a heart condition. They're suffering from COPD. It's people who are very ill to start with, and that's what happens. People don't die of like the virus. They die because they get something and their immune system's screwed. You know, and so if that's the case, and you're counting, and this is the thing that really irritates me. As soon as somebody dies, they'll put it down to corona. And then 3 weeks later, they'll say, oh, by the way, they didn't actually die coronavirus. It was due to a stroke. It was due to a heart condition. It was due to leukemia. It was due to cancer. It was but by then, you've already generated this fever, the furore over this. It's like the film Contagion. Oh, we've got to be so careful. And
it's frustrating.
But it's also double standards. You know, I got somebody who sent a thing in, and my screen has just disappeared. But somebody sent in a thing saying it's a double standard. They tell you one thing is this is the truth. Like, you just need a metre apart. Then, well, you don't need a metre apart. You need 2 metres apart. Then, 2 metres, it doesn't really matter because we don't know whether it can be passed that way. So wear a mask. Then you don't need a mask. Then you need gloves. Then you don't need gloves. They've got no idea what they just have to tell us something. So they make something up, and it's not the right way to deal with it, I don't think.
Some of the guidelines, I mean, I've switched off. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't really paid much attention to the news lately. I'm sick of it. Right. But I made an intention of watching the news on Thursday because I'd been looking at the stats, and we recorded some of the lowest corona cases in the northeast on Wednesday or Thursday. Don't quote us on the date.
Sure.
And I thought I'm going to deliberately watch BBC Look North to see what they headline with, see if they've been doing the homework or not. And you know, it's positive news that the cases were down. I mean, in an ideal world, we want that to be zero, but at the moment, that's just not realistic. And instead of being positive, the headline with a story about a shortage of coffins in Sunderland. And I mean, that's just causing
scaremongering as well.
Anxiety. It is, and it's causing unnecessary anxiety for people. And it's a strong word I'm going to use it, but I actually believe the media are actually enjoying this.
Yes.
And I just think, we all need to take some responsibility here, and we need to be a bit balanced by what's getting reported in the media.
Right.
Because if you're just sitting at home and you're not reading the stats properly, you've got to be thinking everybody in your street's got it.
Well, this is the reason.
That's just not what it is at the moment.
No, I spent genuinely my figures and mathematics and all of that nightmare. I'm a CSE grade 4, which is like he turned up for the exam. That's what it means.
Yeah.
But I spent about 2 days just looking at nothing else with figures. I even got a bit of graph paper out so that I could, draw the line to see where all the numbers were. Is it going up? Is it going down? And then I put the figures in for each county in black, and then I did the red pen thing with the figures from last year, and last year's was massively more than this year. We've actually had a good year, and you think, but hang on, to look at everything, we're all doomed.
I think what's going to happen, Alan, is in the next few months, I think you're going to see a massive spike in deaths, and that won't be coronavirus related. It's going to be people who are at home now just suffering in silence because the doors are locked for treatment.
And also, more people are dying because their operations are being cancelled.
That's what I mean.
They've got they've got serious illnesses that need to be fixed.
That is going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be the biggest scandal out of all this.
Right.
Is, it'll be interesting to see what state that those graphs tallies, what numbers are in September, October time, because me personally, I think it's just a big scandal, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know if it's a deliberate ploy to reset the NHS or what, but we've got a Nightingale Hospital in Washington that beds 500 people. It's never treated a person yet, and I'm thinking to myself, could we be making more use of these places?
I don't think we'll ever get to know the truth, though, because I do think it's and I know I'm kind of big on the whole conspiracy thing to start with. I don't think we'll ever find out the truth, but if we did, heads would roll in all directions.
I agree with you totally, and the only heads for me that shouldn't be rolling is those on the front line, because they're doing a bloody great job.
Yeah.
But I think higher up the food chain, if you want to call it the food chain, I do think that we aren't getting told everything, and people are just hiding behind this excuse of the coronavirus is stopping everything at the moment. And
I don't think it needs to, but what is the reason? I mentioned before that the wealthy have almost doubled their fortunes in most cases, and you think if they were to plan something, we're all going to make ourselves richer across the world. They couldn't have done it. They couldn't have done it any better than pitching in with the virus. But great talking to you, Chris. Stay well.
Yeah, all right.
Don't let the men with the black suits come and take you away.
I hope not. Yeah. Take care, and all the best.
People who speak out, that's what happens. But thank you very much, Chris. We'll both go down together. Now, just don't trust a word that you're told. But you've got no option, have you? You're swept along with this tidal wave of information that we're told is true, and then the same people who tell us it's true 2 days later say, well, we don't really know, but we're just thinking maybe it would be better if you did this or you did that, but we're not sure, but perhaps maybe. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want my life or your life or the life of your children, or perhaps more importantly, the life of your older relatives, to rely on somebody who doesn't know. I'm not sure, it might be, perhaps, maybe. That's not good enough. And that's why Britain has the biggest number of deaths per head of population than any other country over this damn thing, because we've not dealt with it properly. Anyway, let's go and talk to Dawn, who is in Washington. Let's welcome her to the show. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling. Welcome to you. What can we do for you, sweetheart?
I've just had some really bad news. Last Wednesday, my husband was diagnosed with myeloma cancer.
Right.
He starts chemo on Tuesday.
Good.
Now,
myeloma, I may get the wrong one. Is this the thing that's attached to your plasma, and it makes like cancer cells accumulate together because they're instead of fighting it increases the cancer cells in there? Gotcha.
That's precisely the one.
Right.
He's, like I say, he's starting chemo on Tuesday.
What prognosis have they said? Are they catching it early, or has it had a chance to build up?
No, they haven't caught it early. They've caught it too late because a doctor diagnosed him with osteoarthritis.
Oh, hell's teeth. There's a massive difference between those two.
Yeah, precisely. But they found it now, and what they're saying is because he was such a fit man, and he played rugby, football, any sport you could think of, he played. Because he's so fit, they're saying, well, I'm getting one person saying he can beat it, and I'm getting somebody else saying, no, he could have 7 to 10 years. So
How old is he?
He's 63.
In this present climate, that's no age, really. I mean, people are now living till they're 100 and what have you.
They've said he's very young to have caught it, to have it.
Right.
They've already said that. But I'm beside myself with worry. I don't know what to do.
Well, hey, the thing is here, and I have to say, Dawn, that you are in one of those situations where it's not for you to do. Now they've found out what the real problem is. It's for them to do, and them to do it right. And the chemo it's a horrible thing, and it's going to be unpleasant for your lad. And love and respect to him. I wish him well with it, but it's going to take it out of him. And all you can do really is just try and help him get through it as best you can. And but there's no.
I get that.
It's frustrating
I do
because
that all the time, Alan.
I know, but you can't do anything other than just love them.
At the moment, I can't even go into the hospital with him when he has this.
Right.
I'm sat outside in the car waiting for it to finish.
Yeah.
To take him home.
Jibbers. And this is his first one this week, is it?
It's the first one on Tuesday, yeah.
Right. And how many's been put down for?
He's been put down for 6 months treatment.
Right. Well, I mean, that means they're taking it seriously because
oh, yes.
You know, on some occasions I've heard people say, "Oh, we got chemo," and I said, "Well, how many's he had?" "Oh, he's had 3 in 5 months," and you think they're not. You know, that I think they're just going through the motions. But at least in your lad's case, they're taking it seriously, and let's just hope that it's enough to wipe it out. Whenever anybody says to me 7 to 10, I always remember some of the night owls that we've had on, and I always say to them, just be positive and live every day till you're not living anymore. And you don't count, because in real life you don't count. It's just it's going to happen when it's going to happen, and we've all got a time when, you know, the machine goes, your turn, and out we go. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself. But certainly don't listen to these, frankly, forgive my language, but don't listen to these buggers that say 7 years and he'll be away, 10 years and he'll be away. I know people that, night owls, and a lot of them have been on the show, and they've said, I was told 23 years ago I only had 12 months to live. And you think, it just shows you what these people know.
Exactly.
It's
guesswork. They
guesswork.
don't know anything, Alan. I realise that.
Honestly, it's guesswork with most of these people.
It is.
And they'll say things like, with my experience, but they've got no experience of your man.
No.
And if he plays his life the way he played his rugby, he's got nothing to worry about. And
kill them.
And the benefit is he's got a really good woman behind him, so he stands a cracking chance, lass.
Thank you, Alan.
Hey, no worries. Give him me love, please.
I will do.
And keep me posted. Let's know how he gets on with his first chemo as well.
I will, Alan.
We're doing a live Facebook and YouTube thing on Wednesday. It's going to be like a televisual version of Night Owls, where you can see who's ringing in if they want to be seen. We're going to try something new on Wednesday. But even if you don't come on, please ring us and just tell us what the crack is.
I will do.
All right. Thanks very much, Dawn.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Take
Thank
care.
you,
Bye-bye.
Alan.
Oh, bless
you
him.
too.
Bless him. You know, as if this whole blasted COVID-19 thing is enough for us to worry about. To get something like that is not what you would want. Right. Is it music? It's a piece of music. Let's do that. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to play you a bit of madness, an absolute madness classic written by Labby Sifri. And I was talking to the band, about their particular type of music, because it is absolutely unique. Do you realise the impact that you've made in the music business? Because you are genuine superstars. The band's music will live on forever, because there was nothing like it when you wrote it, and there's still nothing out there remotely touching what you do.
Well, I suppose it's all down to taste, isn't it? I'm clearly touched by people's emotions around us these days, because I see it for myself. We still today have fantastic audiences that enjoy our shows. And there's generations of people who are coming up through the ranks. You know, the poor kids who were dragged along to Madness gigs actually do enjoy it. So, you know, by their parents, you know, you will come. No, there's a new younger generation that are appreciating our music, and that's fantastic.
That's great.
I mean, I can't say it's. I have to say that you know, it doesn't seem to have aged. It doesn't seem to be something that
no, it's
you know,
one of those
still stand up today.
It's one of those things, Woody, that I remember when you put your greatest hits out, and I'm thinking probably about 9 or 10 songs there, and then you go, oh, but that was what a great song that was. I'd have forgotten about that. And Michael Caine, and it just goes on and on and on. You've had a stunning. I mean, I don't know how you managed to get on stage and off stage in the time that you do, because you've had so many successes, and not just obviously in Britain as well. You've had a good run, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing about the set is we're very sensitive flowers, and if no one jumps up and down and goes absolutely berserk, we think somehow it's a disaster. So that song's put to one side. The cream always rises to the top.
Sure, of course.
So the best songs, and they've proved themselves over and over and over again. I mean, there are loads and loads of songs that people say, oh, you haven't played that one for a while, and you think, well, it didn't go down particularly well the last time we played it.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, as we say, we're very sensitive.
All right, everybody, it's time, sadly, for us to say goodbye to you guys watching in. Still another hour and a half of the show, and we're just about to go into a great favourite for you guys, The Blah, where we all gather together and pick the world to pieces. We're going to do that in a second, so do try and tune in digitally on your various devices. And do not forget Wednesday from 10 o'clock onwards, we're going to do something not here on a radio station, just off our own bat. And it's going to be a tester. And if you guys really like it and you want it, we will endeavour to make it happen. Although we'll have to kind of self-fund, but we're going to do the damnedest that we can to create something brand new and spectacular where you can see yourself on the show. Facebook and YouTube, don't miss it. And until next time, hopefully tune in, for heaven's sake. Still on. But for now, thank you very much for your company. I wish you well.